Welcome to Discovering. Well, the third week in October marked Michigan's Independence Hunt, and I had the privilege to spend some time in a blind with veteran hunter Raymond Vincent, who was back behind a rifle for the first time in 20 years.
My dad would bring us out. You sit at this stump, you sit there, and don't you guys move until I come back.
Then we'll check out a predator hunt that draws hunters from across the UP, as well as from below the bridge. That's all tonight, so sit back, put your feet up. It's Monday night and time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone, forest thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak, surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields, call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
My role on Discovering has certainly brought me to many places and introduced me to many wonderful people. It has opened my eyes to many things. One of the most important, I think, is the many people amongst us who do so much to help others. People who band together and put on a benefit when someone is in need. The Annie Okoneks and Tanya Ettenhoffers, the Benjis, and so many others that do so much to get our kids into the woods and into fishing. It's Outfitters for Patriots, along with all the landowners and camp owners who are willing to do anything they can to give back to our veterans. It's the Wheeling Sportsmen who took on the overwhelming challenge of finding ways to get our disabled hunters back into the woods. It may sound like tonight's story is about the helpers, but it's not. It's about the hunter, who's back in a deer blind for the first time in 20 years because of people who help. Tonight's story is about Raymond Vincent, a veteran hunter who has stared down the barrel of a gun at many a deer.
Probably 40 of them. I guess that's why afterward I'd leave the rifle there and just watch them.
He knows the excitement, the anticipation, the satisfaction associated with hunting. Ray has hunted all his life. When he developed leg issues all the way back in 1962, he kept hunting. Through the years, it got tougher and tougher. His family and friends helped as much as possible, but eventually, the task of getting into the woods to hunt became too much.
I was in a nursing home for a month on rehab. I called it jail.
The hunter was still there, but the hunt was over. Those of us who hunt deer know. We may not be able to explain it, but we know the excitement, the anticipation, the rewards of hunting. We've been doing it all our lives, and we'll keep doing it until it's impossible. For some of us, that day may come sooner than we like. For many, it has. People like the Wheeling Sportsmen have found a way to extend that.
But this is a great deal that you guys doing for people like me.
After 20 years without hunting, Ray once again finds himself in the woods, in a deer blind, sitting behind the scope of a gun. While Barry from Wheeling Sportsman and Edith, Ray's sister-in-law, were there to help, and I was there to film, Ray was there to hunt.
I didn't know how cold it was, so I put 2 pairs of stockings on today.
And tell stories.
The deer, I shot one up by the cows. Caught hell for shooting in that direction. I said, well, as long as I'm going to shoot the deer, I'm not going to shoot a cow. And went down, well, something like up by that apple tree out there. I dropped another one, and my nephew come out, he says, what don't you have tonight? I said, there's one up there by the cows or the bales. And I said, there's one down by the elm tree. He said, you buzzard can't even see that far. My blind was printing like this in the corner. We had a card table. And they'd come out, we'd play cribbage. And he said, when I told old John, he's the one who owned it at the time, I said, I'm going hunting. He said, you're what? I said, I'm going hunting. He said, you got no vacation coming? I said, I'm going hunting. Him and I wound out at Birch Creek, having a soda. I said, show Ray that 30-30 that's on the wall. He bought it right there. He said, Ray and I is going hunting. Walked to Belgian town if Dad wouldn't give us the car. What is it, 340s across there? It ain't that far. It wasn't walking over there, it was walking back after the dance was done. And a few toddies. Go out to a hunting camp or fishing with the clergymen too. It don't make no difference which one. They drink a little beer with you and they play cards all night long and out the window and see if there's any deer. He says, here they come, look, and there they go. We didn't have no time to get the rifle up at all. Up in Canada, made a bet one time that, you know, guys, if they got any moose, we'd go up and haul them out free. Them 4 guys, they called up the first day and they said, come up and get them. We got 2 of them. They called back, they says, make sure you got the big truck because there's 4 of them. I fed the horses early. So that I could be out in the field when it was time to milk them cows. I wasn't going to go and shovel. Well, when we built all them cabins, we had a guy couldn't get to his account. It was a rainy year like this here. And he was at the store and he had a heart attack. And my father, he wasn't going home until he could get to camp. My father-in-law says, Ray, why didn't you load them guys all on the logging truck and bring them into the deer camp? He says, you can get through with the truck. I says, right there in front of the camp's stump, there's the main deer trail. He was so happy. He didn't care if that was his last run. 24-point buck, the biggest I've seen. We went to the mill to give a hunter some lumber and that, and I told the father-in-law, I said, let's take the other vehicle. My gun is in it. Oh no, we won't see no deer. And that's when we seen that buck.
Sitting in that deer blind, listening to stories of hunts gone by.
I don't know if you believe this, but we had 11 bucks by 11 o'clock in the morning. And a couple does. And then that same year, we wound up with a 535-pound bear.
That's when you could hunt bears during the deer season.
Yeah. We had sent the kids in, all the grandkids and whatnot, through this swamp, and one of them run on top of that den. There's none of them come out where they were supposed to be. They come out all the way around that little patch of woods. I believe I would have too.
Stories of growing up hunting.
My dad would bring us out west side of Daggett with a 30-30. You sit at this stump, my brother Rich, you sit there, and don't you guys move until I come back.
I thought about my own stories, hunts that I'd been on. I couldn't help but stop to think of what it would be like if I suddenly couldn't get out and hunt. If I couldn't just walk out of the camp door on opening morning, load my rifle, and go for a walk. It's so easy to take so much for granted. Sitting and listening to Ray talk, there's little doubt that he loves to hunt. And to know that someone who loves to hunt so much hasn't been able to get out and do it for the last 20 years is hard to swallow. Suddenly my own thoughts and hopes of shooting a trophy seem to be somewhat unimportant. I feel almost guilty for even wishing for it to happen. It now seems so much more important, more significant, more rewarding, that if there was such a buck to walk out in front of me, that it would happen right now, tonight, in front of Ray's scope instead of mine. The longer we sat and talked, the more I found myself hoping and begging for it to happen. But we all know the odds of a trophy walking out in front of any of us are always slim. For many of us, it may never happen. But then again, there's always that chance. And that's all we need to keep us hunting. And I think that's all Ray was looking for. A chance to once again sit in a deer blind. A chance at a buck. A chance to hunt. That's what drives us. What draws us to the woods regardless of the conditions. Regardless of the odds. Just that chance. So that's what we do. We keep trying. We keep waiting with the highest of hopes. And then one day, maybe when we expect it least, it happens.
We are right there.
All right, I can get my earphones on. We're gonna wait a few minutes. What do you think of that, buddy?
Good. He's got a nice spread.
Good shot.
Run right behind them trees. And it right in that little opening in the, it dropped right in between them evergreens, right? Oh. Yeah, well, this sure is all right.
Buddies. See on a spread. Dandy deer. Maybe 9 point. No, 8 point. Excellent job. Wow. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wow. Very far.
No.
Yeah.
Just hit something that's right.
Well, there's some pretty tall tines.
That's a 8-pointer, and I don't know how, but it is a dandy deer.
That's bigger than my 10-point was.
Yes, it is. It's huge. It's big. It's my heart's so going. Oh, that's a wide spread.
Yeah.
Was that your best deer, or you shot bigger?
No, that's the best one as far as the spread.
All right. That made my day right there.
But it is a nice spread. Holy smokes.
Holy smoke is right.
Yeah. The last one I got only had little ones like that. I knew out there in the monitor there, the horns were pretty big.
Yeah, they are. They're
8 inches?
yeah. Very high.
And this is great to you guys doing this.
Oh my God!
Yeah, Ray, good deer.
That is awesome!
Oh my God, that thing's huge. Yeah, that's a big buck.
Oh,
The heart's still pulsating in there.
it's still going. That is amazing. Beautiful.
It's a wonderful thing about people. Shooting a nice buck can make a person very happy. But someone else shooting a nice buck, someone like Ray, someone who for the first time in 20 years was able to get back on the horse, back into the blind, and once again pull the trigger, can make so many people so happy. Well, firearm deer season is right around the corner. What do you do if you see a tagged deer?
In the late 1980s and up through 2006, for a period of about 18 years, the department personnel, with the help of private deer citizens, participated in a tagging project. And over that 18-year period, we captured over 2,700 individual deer and earmarked them. As we get in and closer towards deer season, you want to remember that tagged deer, deer that have an ear tag in their ear, are legal to be taken. And if you happen to be in the woods and you shoot a deer with an ear tag, you want to make sure that you contact the local DNR office to report the location, the date, and the time that you actually took that animal, and any relevant information, like it had 3 fawns with it, or it was fighting with another buck. So that information is important to us because we use it in setting regulations on how many deer are actually associated with the different deer management units, and we use that information to help us in habitat management for white-tailed deer during the winter and summer. When the winter, we work on providing shelter or growing shelter, and in the spring, summer, and fall, putting in feeding areas for deer that are rich in herbaceous vegetation. So if you do shoot an animal with an ear tag, it is legal, but take the time to report it to your local DNR office.
Hunting is certainly in the air this time of year. With their numbers on the rise, coyote hunting is fast becoming one of the most popular hunting sports in the state, sparking up numerous predator hunts across the UP.
We shot him at 2:30. Hey, we shot him at 2:30 on Ryan's Field. There was a dump.
Where's my judge? What are you thinking of, girl? What are you thinking of?
We've been doing this now. This is our 7th predator hunt. When I first started out, we called it Skip's Taxidermy Predator Days. And of course I retired from taxidermy now, so it's down to Skip's days. But we started out for the kids to get involved. And first 3-4 years, we had a side hunt also going on at the same time. The parents would have their kids out and they'd shoot red squirrels. And we had Jim Curtis, of course he's a CBM scorer, and he would measure the squirrels and weigh them, and the girls and the guys and the kids that got the largest squirrels had prizes. Of course they all ended up with prizes. And that kind of fizzled out a couple of years ago. There wasn't much attending that squirrel hunt anymore. So we got the kids involved coming to the Predator Days itself, where they can get out with their parents if they want, or come here as long as they're signed up, and we've got a lot of stuff to give them away. They're custom call makers all from across the country, donate calls, and some come. We had one here today, and he gave some very beautiful handmade calls away to the kids. And the kids all got lanyards from a guy, and they tied them up, rifle slings and everything else. So it's been great. And I think we're going to keep her going for a while because it's so much fun and everybody has a good time here. It's really growing. When we first started out, we only had a few people in, most of them from UP, and now it's growing all the way down. We had a pair of hunters come all the way from Paw Mish. I believe out of the 33 hunters, if I counted right, we had 11 from below the bridge.
Try to get up here every excuse I can find, and Skip's Predator Hunt's one of the best excuses that I can think of. Skip's a good old boy, puts on a good show. We come up, we enjoy it, have a good time. Camaraderie, learn some new things, maybe kill a coyote, maybe not. That's why they call it hunting instead of killing.
I call them flatlanders and trolls and that, and they laugh it off. Of course, they come up here to our hill country. They think this is mountains, I guess. They really like it. But there ain't no place like the UP, and they know it, and they come up here to enjoy it. And we all get out and do a little hunting on this weekend every year.
I got into it, I've been predator hunting about 7 years now. I've known Skip probably at least 4, and I finally got in my first predator hunt with Skip here 2 years ago. I was unable to make last year because of work, but first year, this is my second time being in it. It's a good time, it's all calling, and that's a big thing now with a lot of the predator hunts with so much baiting going on, which is still a good thing because we're still killing predators. But it's nice to have one where everybody's on the, I guess, level playing ground with just calling and that. So I enjoy it. It's a good time. I mean, good time of year, kick off the hunting season.
All the money that they pay to get into the hunt goes back to them. And we had some real good payoffs today because some guys shot some nice coyotes.
Second place, one dog, $305, Ken. Thank you. Wow. 2 coyotes and a fox, $510, Ken. Small dog, a buddy of mine that shot that coyote where I was hunting tonight. And he's been there a couple of times. Small dog for Roy, Cam, $155, buddy. Thanks for coming.
All right, good job.
There you go. Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. And remember, you can always find out more about the people and places you see on Discovering by visiting us online at 906outdoors.com.